Let's head into this morning newscast with the latest coming in from Taiwan as polls have opened in Taiwan today morning for a presidential and parliamentary election. Over 17,000 polling stations across Taiwan opened their doors nationwide at 8 a.m. and will close 8 hours later. While the polls are eclipsed by the East Asian islands' bristling relationship with China, the key issues this election in particular is how close the self-ruled island should take up to its giant neighbor China. The vote will send ripples far beyond its borders, with the two presidential rivals laying out very different visions for Taiwan's future. Here's a quick overview of the contenders. Tsai Ing-wen, the incumbent Taiwanese president, is a member of the Democratic Progressive Party, which favors an independent Taiwan, seeking a re-election this time around. Tsai was first elected in 2016 as president of the 23 million, along with a majority in Taiwan's legislature, the Legislative Yuan. Fighting Beijing's efforts to isolate her government, Tsai is set out to steer Taiwan further from China's orbit. Han Kuo-yu is Tsai's opponent this election, who represents the Kuomintang party and favors warmer ties with China. Han favors closer ties, economic and cultural ties with Beijing, and sees a tighter relationship with the mainland to securing Taiwan's economy in the long term. Now let's also hear out President Tsai Ing-wen outrightly defying the idea of one country, two systems. She's known for defying China's authority, and Taiwan is the world's 21st largest economy. But ever since 1949, when Mao Zedong's forces ended a civil war, the Chinese Communist Party has considered a mutinous province that must be reunited with China by force, if necessary. This year, 650 candidates from 43 political parties are seeking to fill 113 seats in the legislature, and the initial results of the polls are expected on Saturday evening, that is today.
香港的年轻人用他们的生命跟血泪为我们示范一国两制不可行。明天 换我们的台湾的年轻人为他们示范，民主自由的价值会克服一切困难的。
And so let's get a sense of what's happening on ground zero when it comes to Taiwan's elections. We are also being joined in by our correspondent Nicola Smith for a ground report from Taiwan. Let's quickly go across to Nicola. Nicola, very good morning to you. It's indeed a crucial day for Taiwan as it goes to vote. Give us a sense of the expected voter turnout and the rigid divide within the electorate.
At the moment, the polls are looking good for President Tsai. She has a lead over Han Kuo-yu. The result also depends, however, on voter turnout, and there are several concerns about the youth vote, because she derives much of her support from the younger generations. So that could negatively impact on the result for President Tsai and her ruling Democratic Progressive Party if young people don't turn out. However, this election has really captured the public's imagination. People are very engaged with the issues at stake, particularly as they're looking across at Hong Kong, which is only a few hundred miles away, and just at the crackdown on pro-democracy demonstrations there. That has raised a number of concerns among Taiwan's electorate. As you mentioned, the one country, two systems method that China proposes, President Tsai has rejected that, and China has proposed that also for Taiwan. And people are looking at Hong Kong and saying that is not what we want. So this election is very important just in securing Taiwan's young democracy. Right.
It's interesting that you mentioned Hong Kong at the moment, Nicola, because the big fight seems to be between Tsai Ing-wen of DPP and Han Kuo-yu of KMT. Is this election now being viewed as a referendum on Taiwan's relationship with mainland China? And given the developments in Hong Kong, since you mentioned, and China's intensifying diplomatic, military and economic pressure on Taiwan, what's at stake in this election?
I think people are viewing it really as a referendum on, Taiwan's future and how it sees its future, whether it sees that future closer to the US and other regional allies, or whether it sees it more linked to China. And President Tsai has been very clear that she sees Taiwan's future as playing a much more international role, as rejecting rule by China, rejecting unification with China. Han Kuo-yu has been less clear on his views on how Taiwan should engage with Beijing. Certainly he sees Taiwan, he has stressed Taiwanese sovereignty, but he does favour warmer ties with Beijing, and many people think that he is too close to China, or they fear that he might sell out Taiwan's interests by going too far.
All right, Nicola, apart from China, why is the Taiwan election also being keenly followed by Japan and the United States?
For a number of reasons. There's a very strong strategic reason why they are following this election. Taiwan is in the middle of the so-called First Island chain, which is very important for Japan and US military interests, as well as Chinese military interests. Currently, China does not have access to a Pacific coastline. And if it did eventually unify with Taiwan, that would change, and that would definitely have implications for America and Japan's Indo-Pacific strategy.
All right, and my last question to you, Nicola, while the attention is on who will lead Taiwan, isn't the election also crucial in terms of who takes charge of its legislature for the next 4 years?
Yes, absolutely. And while President Tsai has a clear lead in the polls, she looks certain for a clear win. It's not so clear for the legislative yuan. The 113 seats in Taiwan's parliament. The Kuomintang party could still win, and if they do, then she is going to have more difficulty in her pivot away from China.
All right, Nicola, thank you so much for sharing your precious perspective and bringing us all those details on Taiwan elections. We'll keep coming back to you for more.